So today we're gonna be going through some of our favorite mobility exercises. Mobility is something we include in the big or the lean program for you guys. If you're not mobile, you're at more risk of injury. You're not gonna be able to go through full range of motion as well. You're not gonna get the most bang for your buck. So we're giving this to you, do it. I promise you, this stuff will pay off. Let's jump into it.
Ready? No, you got a nod. All right, guys, this first routine is gonna be a banded routine, so you're gonna need 2 bands for this.
2 bands!
And what we're gonna do is basically open up the hip girdle, but we're gonna hit everything. We hit hamstring, we're gonna hit your quads and hip flexors, and then we're gonna also hit your glutes using the bands. So the first one is gonna be the quad and hip flexor stretch.
How often would you do these?
I would do this every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
Until you're proficient at it, and then do it at least 3 days a week.
A lot of the times what we do is, before a workout, we do prehab work for that certain area. So let's say if it's a leg day, we would do prehab work for your legs that day, just to more, not necessarily stretch, open up the area, work the area. And then the day after leg day, that's when you're starting to shorten the muscle back up. And that's when you go in, maybe not before you lift, just after the lift, and open that back up with this type of stuff to make sure that you're opening the muscle back up and then it stays mobile.
People always ask me, Steve, if you could do this all over again, knowing what you know now, what would you go back and do differently? This is what I would do differently. I did not do this stuff religiously the last 10 years of training, and I'm now starting to do it, but I'm so far behind.
All right, so the first one, we set up a thick band on the rack. Steve is gonna step in with the leg that he's gonna be stretching. So he'll step in, and he's gonna step back and do a lunge with that leg. So it's nice and high, basically right at your glute hamstring tie-in. And what that's gonna do is distract your femur forward. And really what I like about this is that once you get set up, you can also set the band up higher and just relax into the stretch for a couple minutes. So after that, what you're gonna do is take the band, loop around your foot, and then if you have the mobility, pull that band up, and then you can just relax and sit forward and really try to squeeze that back glute and press forward into your hip. So on this one, you're gonna be hitting your hip flexor and your quad, and you get the most bang for your buck on this one. So what we'll do here, usually like 30 seconds to a minute before we move on to the next stretch. All right, guys, the next stretch you're already set up in the band, so what we're gonna do is set up so the band distracts your leg laterally, and then you're gonna go into a pigeon stretch like in yoga. What that's gonna do is give you a little room in that joint and allow you to sit deeper into the stretch. So you'll sit down like this, basically like a figure 4 position. That band is pulling you laterally, and you're gonna be able to sit deeper into the stretch. So honestly, this is one of Steve's probably least mobile areas, and the band is actually, probably the best I've seen him in this position because the band is distracting him. So it's gonna allow you to fall deeper into the stretch. All right, guys, next one's gonna be a band distracted hamstring stretch. So we move the thick band to the bottom of the rack. What you're gonna do is sit on your butt, slide close to the rack, and then pull that band over your leg and slide it down right into your hip crease. So get it as high as you can, and then from there, you'll slide out to create band tension. And you're gonna use this band around your foot, lock that knee out, and then basically just pull back with the band. Sit here for about a minute to 30 seconds as well. So what we usually do is go through all 3 of those movements, 30 seconds to a minute on each leg, and then we go through it 2 times. So the first one's called the couch stretch. So what you're gonna do here is try to set up, it depends on how mobile you are. So if you have great mobility, you're honestly gonna have your shin all the way up to the wall. If you have good hip and quad mobility. If not, basically what you wanna do is set up, is that one a little more mobile? Set up with your toe, just nice and high up on the wall. It's actually gonna stretch out your ankle too, so you're gonna get your ankle, your shin, and your quad and your hip. So on this one, you'll set up, try to stay straight, keep your core tight, and then if you can, try to flex your glute to push that hip through. So on this one, you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're gonna get your quad, hip flexor, and your ankle as well. So you'll do that for about 30 seconds to a minute, and then we're gonna move on to the pigeon stretch. All right, so that last stretch, the couch stretch, the reason that we call it the couch stretch is obviously because you can do it on the couch. So you can, if you're not very mobile, you can do it off the couch on the floor, or you can actually put your foot back up on the high part of the couch and your knee is on the cushion, and just relax and sit back into it. The next stretch we're gonna do, it's gonna get your hamstrings and groin a little bit. It's called the pancake stretch. So you're just gonna spread your legs out and then lean forward as much as you can. Good. And so we'll hold this for about 30 seconds to a minute. Really, we usually spend about 20 seconds in the middle and then go one leg for 20 seconds, and then we'll transition to the other leg for 20 seconds.
Also, very good to do when you are watching TV. Just plop on the floor instead of sitting on the couch. Get some mobility, some stretching in there.
People always ask me how I was able to do the splits. This is how. I literally started like this, about as immobile as Steve. So like right now, he's sitting against this and he's probably getting a good stretch. So what you can do is just sit against the couch, get a good stretch. And the more you spread your legs out, or the easier it gets, the more you can spread your legs out. And then once it gets so easy that you can't spread your legs out anymore, then you can start leaning forward into the stretch. All right guys, the next one we got is the pigeon stretch. I don't really know why it's called the pigeon stretch, it's just a yoga, it's a yoga pose, so the pigeon pose. So what you're gonna do here, to really target your glute the most, and it really depends how flexible you are, but you wanna try to make it close to a 90-degree angle out here, and if you can't, that's fine.
I cannot.
And then if you can't, like Steve, right now you don't wanna sit too far in the stretch. You wanna make sure that your hips are as square as possible, and then you're just sitting straight forward. So you'll sit in this one for about 30 seconds to a minute. Another way to do this that we can't show right here, but would be to get up on your back knee and actually just do like a figure four like this, sitting like on your couch. So if your couch is right here and you're sitting kneeling, you can just set it up, and it's probably a little bit easier if you don't have the mobility to get into a pigeon stretch on the floor. All right guys, this is gonna be a band stretching routine for your upper body, mainly your shoulder girdle and your chest a little bit. This is probably one of the most neglected areas for people, especially in the bodybuilding industry, because they just don't think they need to stretch their upper body. But what it's gonna do is give you longevity. It's gonna make it so you recover faster and you just feel better all the time. A lot of the things too is all the pressing that we're doing, it's gonna start pulling you forward. So if you don't have a good push to pull ratio, and if you're not doing mobility stuff, you're gonna start getting injuries, your elbows are gonna hurt, your shoulders are gonna start hurting, and that's what we wanna avoid in the big program.
You also wanna avoid walking around like this.
Unless you think that looks cool.
Which it doesn't. All right, what band are we using here?
All right, so we're just using the light band here, but you can use a heavy one too. And the way that you want to set up to get into the band is not holding onto it, but you'll slide your hand in and then wrap it around one side and put it back through. What that's gonna allow you to do is completely relax into the stretch. So if you're gripping the band, that's gonna obviously cause tension, and that's gonna go all the way up, and it's gonna cause you not to be able to relax as far into the stretch. So the first one we're gonna do here is gonna be just a chest stretch. So what you're gonna do here, try to point your thumb, externally rotate to the ceiling. Yep, and then just step away and just stretch that right here. So super simple, but it's very, very effective. So you'll hold that for about 30 seconds to a minute. And then from here, we're gonna go into a lat stretch. All right guys, the next one we're gonna do is a lat stretch. So you're gonna start this one off by just sitting back pretty far and get some good tension on the band. Just relaxing for a second, let it distract you. If this gives you a good lat stretch, that's great. If not, you can punch your head through the window here. Good. And then that'll increase the stretch through your lat. So hold that for about 30 seconds to a minute. And the last one we're gonna do is a shoulder stretch behind the back. So you're actually gonna slide your hand out of the loop and then just put it back behind your back. And what you wanna do here, try to pull that rib cage down to your belly button, keep it tight. That's gonna cause some tension, chest up though at the same time. And then if you get a good stretch here, that's fine. If not, you can sink down a little bit into the stretch. It really depends how high you have your band set. All right, just like all of our routines, for the legs, what we're gonna do is 30 seconds to a minute in each stretch, move through each one, and then we'll go through that 2 times. Next, we're gonna go over some prehab routines. So we use these for areas, mostly we do this for the hips and shoulders because they're commonly injured, especially your external rotators and your scapular retractors. So the first one we're gonna do for the shoulder girdle today is gonna be an external rotator just off the knee, because it's easy to set up and you can pretty much do it in any gym. So the goal here is gonna be to slide your heel close to your butt, and just bring that knee up higher, get it at a 90-degree angle, and then you're gonna control it down, and then come back up. Good. So when we're warming up, we'll probably usually do about 15 reps each arm on this one. So once you've done 15 reps each arm, we're gonna move over to the next one. All right guys, the next one we're gonna move over to is gonna be a push-up off the ball. So you can use a Bosu ball or a medicine ball on this one. And the goal here is to overstretch your chest a little bit, and then when you step over the ball, you're actually working shoulder stability, stepping over the ball. So you're gonna go all the way down until your chest hits the ground, get a nice stretch in that right arm, lock it out, walk over, locked out, and then come to the other side. So on this one, we usually do about 5 to 10 push-ups on each arm before we move on to the next exercise. All right, so the last one for this routine is gonna be an overhead shrug. So A lot of the times we'll do a snatch grip shrug. This one's between snatch and clean grip, but so sometimes we'll go really wide. Sometimes if you have better shoulder mobility, you can go super narrow. Steve's about right in the middle on this one. What you're gonna do here is lock your elbows out completely, and then from there you're gonna shrug your shoulders up, try to get them as high as you can, and then let them come back down. This is gonna work your lower trap on this one, commonly neglected for most people, so it's a great exercise. Basically, so you're not missing it in your training, and also so it helps you warm up before you work out.
All right guys, one thing I wanted to point out here, these mobility routines, these prehab routines, all of this is given to you guys as part of the big or lean program when you sign up. So we take the guesswork out of it, things that you should be doing, but take your time, your energy, we give them to you as part of this program. So it's not just training, it's not just your diet, it's everything. It's full encompassing. So make sure you guys look forward to that to come, sign up for it.